Okay, my friends, here it is. The video that is going to show you one of the most elite bloom and flavor boosting substances that can be had. Now, I'm going to say some things about it, and then I'm going to take you out and show you exactly how to make this wonderful elixir. So this video is not going to be for the people that are trying to grow food as absolutely cheaply as possible, okay? There are cheaper options than what I'm about to show you. This video is for the person that is whose main goal is growing the absolute highest quality product that can be had anywhere. The most nutrient-rich, flavorful, beautiful produce, and the flowers that have the most heavy odoriferous resinous oils on them, things like that. If the highest quality is your goal, then this is exactly what you want to use on your plants right about now. Because here in Zone 5/6, Northern Indiana, it is the last week of July, and these plants are going to need this bloom boosting elixir right about now. So how do I know this stuff works? Well, many years ago, when I was a somewhat commercial grower in Northern California, we used to spend thousands of dollars on nutrients for these plants. And one of the things that we used was called Bud Swell. And this stuff, it's still available, and it is $56 a gallon. $56 a gallon, okay? And we would use gallons and gallons and gallons of this. They sell it by the 5-gallon jug as well for like $250, something like that. So I got tired of paying so much for that. And so I looked at the ingredients on it, and you can just zoom right into the ingredients, and you can see that here it is derived from earthworm castings, bat guano, and seabird guano. So I said, So many years ago, I started experimenting with different formulations, and I found a formulation that works every bit as good as this stuff works. And I know that from firsthand experience. And yet you can get it for pennies on the dollar if you do it the way I'm going to show you now. So I'm not going to get too in depth as far as the science behind it, because I could go on and on about that. But this functions basically because of two primary principles. One is the ingredients, and two is the method of application. So the ingredients are going to be earthworm castings, bat guano, and seabird guano, just like you saw there. Now, this is very important because the seabird is eating fish and lots of marine things, all right? And so it's absorbing many of the nutrients and excreting mostly a phosphorus, okay? Phosphorus is very, very important. Remember, more roots and fruits. Phosphorus, more roots, more fruits, and that's what we want right about now, especially a bloom booster. And the bat guano. The bats eat all different kinds of different things. Insects, and so they're the exoskeletons of the insects, all of that kind of, the chitin, all of the good nitrogen and phosphorus and potassium is all there in a wonderful form, very, very concentrated because of the nature of the bat and the sea and the bird. And so these things have been used as fertilizers for thousands of years, and they work wonderfully well, very potent, very biologically active. And finally, the last thing is the earthworm castings, which if you follow this channel, you're already familiar with the benefit of the earthworm casting and the plethora of plant available nutrients and microorganisms that are present in the earthworm castings. So that's one reason it's so good. The other reason is the method of application. This is a foliar spray, all right? So we are going to spray the leaves of the plants with this stuff. You will see exactly how we're going to do it. But plants, they can absorb nutrients through their leaves for many reasons, but two primary reasons. One is that they have to take in carbon dioxide through their leaves from the atmosphere. So they have these pores that are called stomata that open and close. When the stomata are open, they can absorb CO2, they can absorb water, they can absorb nutrients. And they did studies in the 1950s in Michigan State University, and they found that foliar application of nutrients is 100 to 900% more effective at the absorption of the nutrients than applying it to the soil. So foliar feeding is like mainlining for the plants. It goes directly into the plant. Now, another reason that plants can absorb so much through their leaves is because for eons of time immemorial, birds and plants have co-evolved. And so if you go out to the garden, you will see birds, and there used to be a lot more birds than there are now. And so the bird droppings all over the plants in the jungle and everywhere, the plants can absorb all of that. Very good for their growth. Okay, so let me take you and show you exactly how to make this stuff, and then when we come back, I'm going to tell you some very specific parameters that you have to be sure that you follow. Okay, my friends, so here are the ingredients. We're going to use some bat guano, a 731. It says the undisputed champion of all natural fertilizers, which it really is super rich. The only ingredient is bat guano. Now we're going to use seabird guano, which is a very good source of phosphorus, guys. High phosphorus seabird guano dramatically increase the amount and size of blooms, and it really does. Make sure the only ingredient is seabird guano. Then we're going to use some of the back to earth vermicast from the worm farm that is local to me. So you can use whatever kind you want, or there's a link in the description where you might be able to get some of those worm castings. So first thing we're going to use is the bat guano, and we're using a 5-gallon bucket, and we're going to use 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. So we're going to use 10 tablespoons of bat guano. Likewise, we're going to use 2 tablespoons per gallon of water of the seabird guano, and that is going to be 10 tablespoons for the 5-gallon bucket. Now we are going to use 10 tablespoons per gallon of the vermicasting. So that's about 1 whole quart, 1 liter. And then we're going to go outside where Shiva is protecting the garden, Shiva the destroyer, of course. And then we're going to fill it full of the water. Now I am using hose water. Yes, it's not absolutely ideal, but it still works just fine. We're getting that aeration in there. We're getting everything mixed up really well together. And then we're going to put a lid on it, and we're going to let that sit for 12 hours. You make it in the morning, you use it in the evening. That's how it goes. But as often as you can, if it's once, if it's 3 or 4 times, that's ideal. During that 12 hours, you come out and you stir it. You want to stir it. Get that stuff up off the bottom, okay? I'll explain later why we don't need to put an air stone in this. Just stir it. That's all that's needed. Then 12 hours later, in the evening time, once the sun has gone down, we are going to use this here pillowcase because it is just the right micron that it will not clog our pump sprayer. So we're going to put it in the bucket like this, and then Shiva's going to take another look just to make sure everything's okay. And then we're going to leave all the solids in the bottom. See, so before we pour it, we don't agitate it. We just leave the solids in the bottom. Then we pull the pillowcase out of the mixture, and we are left with this really rich microbial and nutrient rich brew. So we're just going to use this backpack sprayer. There will be a link in the description, or there's one on my Amazon storefront. But I love these things, guys. These backpack sprayers are nice. So you can see here we got about 4 gallons of the mixture. And so we're going to add 1 more gallon of water to top it off. That's all the more we dilute. You can use it straight. You don't have to put any more water in there if you don't want. But we're going to use 5 gallons, guys. And this backpack sprayer makes it so nice. It's such a strong pump that comes out of there. And it's light years beyond those silly little things you have to mess with and hold in your hand like the small Roundup ones. I highly recommend getting one of these. And then, now that the sun has gone down and there's no more ultraviolet, direct ultraviolet, we're going to go through and spray literally everything in the garden. Everything is going to love this. Look at this Shijimisa. Look at this Butterhead King Crunch lettuce. And super dark, rich. And these blooms on this sunflowers, guys, these are the Velvet Queen sunflowers, just starting to produce some really beautiful sunflowers. Here is the sweet potatoes, which you don't want to fertilize sweet potatoes much. So we're just using this foliar. I actually don't hit these every time with the compost tea even. Now we're coming to these 2 squash plants, guys. I've been hitting them with this bloom booster once a week, and they are thriving. This is just 2 plants, and look at all of these squash on this thing. I mean, they're just boatloads. There's like 6 or 7 of them just right there in that one little spot. So this stuff really works, guys. You get crazy blooms. Here's our marigolds. They're blooming profusely. Now, remember that mixture that we had left? We're not going to waste it. We fill the bucket up again, and then we're going to take that into the garden, and we're going to add this to our 4 tomato plants. So you see, we're just going to dump this stuff around the base of the tomatoes, and they are going to thrive. Look at them being Jurassic. Okay, so now that you know how to make it, here I can already hear some people saying, well, I'm going to add an air stone and then add some molasses and I'm going to do it this way. And that's fine, but that's its own separate different thing. So this is not necessary for this brew, okay? For the 12-hour brew period, there's plenty of dissolved oxygen in the water already. We do not need to add an air stone. Don't add food or molasses of any kind. Just do it exactly as you see here and you will get wonderful results. Because air stone and food and all that, that's more for microbial brews. And there are microbes in this, yes, but it's mostly nutrients. And you can never multiply nutrients. Remember that. You can only multiply microbes. So they're two different things. The aerated compost tea and this sort of extract are two different things. Allow them to be separate like that for best results. Now, when do I apply this? In the early morning, very early morning, so that before the sun comes onto the plants, you want at least an hour of dry time before the sun will reach the plants. But preferably in the evening time, after the sun has already started to go down, even in the middle of the night is just fine with a headlamp. You do not want the ultraviolet light hitting this substance because the ultraviolet radiation from the sun will degrade and denature these components. So we want to spray them preferably right as it's becoming dark time. Top and bottom, underside of the leaf, we want to get it all up in there and your plants will love you for this. Here's how you want to do it. You want to make a routine. Once a week, apply the aerated compost teas, and then once a week, preferably the opposite side of the week of the aerated compost tea, you want to apply something like this. That's all that you will need. That's all the plants will need. You will have luscious gardens, bountiful growth. You will see flavorful produce, heavy odoriferous resinous oils on your flowers, yes? So there you go, guys. If you feel like you gained something from the video, give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts. First thing that comes to mind, doesn't matter what it is, just put it into the comments. And I will see you guys right here every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern time for the live Q&A. If you have not got on the aerated compost tea train yet, I recommend you watch this video here so you understand exactly how to do it.